Hello, in this video we're going to walk through our single player slash leaderboard demo. This is a project where we have a coin flipping mechanic and we are going to send up the longest streak of consecutive heads over to the leaderboard. So let's start by downloading the project. And once it's downloaded, we're going to extract it. Now we're going to open it up in Unity. Let's go to Game Plumbing Framework Settings, make sure we're in Simulated for our backend type. Now let's open up Test Runner, run our coin test, make sure it turns green. Perfect. Now you can open this test up and you can go through not just the test, but also the fact that it's using a server object called CoinPlayerSO, and you can go through CoinPlayerSO and you'll see that it's using a server object called CoinLeaderboardSO, and we've already done a video which can take you through what all of that code is doing. So if you come down here, we have our server object guide video that actually will take you through all of the server object code for CoinPlayerSO and CoinLeaderboard. So essentially what's happening is the client is going to tell CoinPlayerSO flip. CoinPlayerSO is going to flip and send the result over to itself and record the result. And if it breaks its streak of longest consecutive heads, it's going to go send that score to the Coin Leaderboard SO. And the Coin Leaderboard SO is going to send all of the top scores back to the Coin Player SO, because Coin Player SO keeps track of its own leaderboard that does not stay in sync with Coin Leaderboard SO. And the reason we did that is our client is going to actually use the leaderboard that's in CoinPlayer SO, because it's not even going to sync down Coin Leaderboard SO. So if you look at the code, Coin Leaderboard SO won't even be syncable. And this is because of scalability. If you have a server object that everybody is syncing to, and you have hundreds of thousands of different clients updating that, well, then all of these other SOs that are syncing to it are going to get all of those updates. So what we chose to do here is to come up with a design that was more scalable but not as synchronous. And you get to make these decisions for yourself depending on what you think the load is going to be, and how important staying in sync is to you. So now let's go run the game and see what this all looks like. Let's click on Assets, double click on Coin, hit play. The bright side of the coin is heads, the dark side is tails, and we want to get as many consecutive heads as we can. So we'll flip. Now we have a streak of 1 because we landed on heads. We can come in here and change our name and keep flipping. Now we've broken our streak, so our streak is 0. Keep flipping. Again, 0. Another thing we can do is come into Data Explorer, and if we click on Player, this is our Coin Player SO, and we'll see all of the state that's up here in UI is here in the Data Explorer. We can even watch this as we flip. You will notice there's some lag here because of how UI repaints, how Unity UI repaints, but you can always just click in to this UI if you want it to update. So now our longest streak is 1, current streak is 1, and you saw state equals heads, and you saw that came in a little late. Current streak is 0, there it is. Now we're on a streak again. Okay, and we can just keep doing this until we get tails. Okay, and now we're done. So that's how you play coin flipper. Now let's look at the UI associated with this. So I'm going to look at the inspector panel. And the first thing that I notice is Coin has an animation view binding script, and it's looking at player state. So we've basically defined one element heads and one element tails, and depending on what player.state becomes, it's going to end up on one of these two. So let's open the canvas up and go through the rest of the items on the hierarchy. Set username is just this static text, nothing really going on there. Set username input is this input field. And so if we look at it, we're using the Unity input field, but then we're also using a view binding. So let's look at that. Right here, text VB and text input VB. And text input VB has this variable player.username assigned to it. So this is our coinplayerso.username. And what this means is that it's going to reflect this value, but it will also reflect if you type a value in here. So if you type a value in here, then it's going to call set username, which is in the controller. If we look at that code, set username just sends the new username over to coinplayerso through a set username. Flip is just the word flip over here, and there's a button, and this button is linked to coin controller.flip. So if we look at that, we're just sending the coinplayerso.flip message over to the player. Longest streak is a text view binding. Right here we have the text field, and then we have the text view binding, and we've just hooked it up directly to player.longeststreak. Same thing with current streak, and then we have this custom view binding we created specifically for this scenario called Leaderboard. So here we have Leaderboard view binding, and its variable that gets input is called player.leaderboard. So if we go back to our code here and we look at the let's look at coinplayer.leaderboard. Let's just go to definition. We'll notice that it's a tuple of string int. It's an array of that. So this type, we'll see it again. So just remember, array of tuple, string comma int. So here we have player.leaderboard is the variable, and we can look at the code for this leaderboard view binding. And then we have this thing called spots. So here we can define how many spots we want to show. And each spot, we're going to send it a username and a score. So if we change it to 2, we'd only get 2 of those. It could be any number. So now let's look at our leaderboard view binding that we wrote specifically for this application. So the first thing to notice is it's really short, 49 lines of code. And here we have that variable, but you'll notice that on our add listener, we're specifically listening for that type because we know that it is a tuple, an array of tuple with the type string comma int. So that's what we're listening for. And as that changes, we just go in and we figure out how many spots we have, and we fill out the username and the score based on the value that was sent in to the listener, which is essentially, if we go back to the variable player.leaderboard. So as player.leaderboard changes, this is going to just stay in sync. So that's it. We've walked through our coin flipper example. It's a great example of a single player game with a leaderboard. We've looked at how, the general flow, and then we've looked at the state of coin player SO as well as the state of coin leaderboard SO. And we've seen how we can hook up the state of coin player SO over to a fully functioning user interface. Thank you so much.